Welcome back. All right, so review time. Unlike last night, you guys should be able to hear this one. The longer videos, they go into processing. They stay in what's called processing hell. And it still shows us processing when looking at it on the channel. I had one that stayed in processing for 2 days. And when that happens, sometimes that can lead to issues with the audio. The file's fine on my end, so I know it's not something I did. So when that happens, I will make sure I'm uploading it to the other channel. I may just go ahead and upload the long reviews twice, once on this channel and once on the other channel, just to make sure. I mean, it's not like they're not both my channels, so it's fine. But anyways, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into tonight's games. The Vegas Golden Knights need victories. They're starting to really crash out, and teams behind them are doing well, so that's a problem. Dallas is a good example of a team that's doing well, and they're raising that line for the playoffs. Nashville's playing well, so for Vegas, who sit only a couple of points ahead of Edmonton, things are getting really dicey. Brossois versus Jari in this one is the Pens charity game, which was a smashing success from what I saw. Those bags that they sell off, those look fantastic. I was even thinking about one myself, and I'm not a Pens fan, but I was looking at that going, that looks really cool. So anyways, good back and forth start. They did sell out of them. They announced that in, I think it was the second period. Rodriguez has a net drive that wouldn't go. Pens are getting chances, but Vegas is blocking them out early. Press by the Penguins draws a power play. Vegas did kill that off. Penguins press after it's done. Pacioretty and Letang chirp at one another. Patch just goes to the box. It was for a punch. Basically, Letang goaded him into giving him a punch. It wasn't much of a punch, but it's still a punch. So that puts Pacioretty in there. However, the Penguins, they can't score on theirs, so they're 0 for 2. Vegas has a rush after. There's a 2-on-1 for the Penguins. Blueger's denied on that. Vegas presses with 2 minutes left, but at 18:54, on a rush chance, it's Matheson back in the lineup. He scores from Crosby and Rust. So that makes it 1-0 Pittsburgh after 1. Second period, early press by Vegas. Heinen has a rush chance that won't go. And then Carter. Carter scores at 2:36 to make it 2-0 for the Penguins. The assists to McGinn and Puustinen. So, that's his first NHL point. And here we go. Pittsburgh's up 2-0. However, while that was scored on a bad line change, Vegas gets it back relatively quickly. Eichel scores from Marchessault and Pacioretty at 4:19. Things get scrummy after a save by Jari. We end up with 4-on-4 out of that. Pettersson takes a puck to the face. That looked like it probably hurt. Pietrangelo would then score to tie the game from Marchessault and Stevenson at 8:19. And he roofed it from in close. So it looked like maybe tonight's the night that Vegas was going to put their offensive woes behind them. The shots are 9-4 for Vegas at the half. They played very well, and they would continue that through the rest of the period as well. Marchessault has a rush chance that saved. Jari holds as Vegas is pressuring and getting a lot of opportunities. Penguins press with 5.5 minutes left. Marchessault on a rush chance, he ends up hitting the crossbar. So we go to the third period. We were tied at 2. Third period, Carter with a net feed to Blueger. That was blocked out. Haig is denied. Crosby has a rush chance that's saved. We have end-to-end chances at 2.5 minutes. And then at 3:49, Friedman scores his first of the season for Pittsburgh from Boyle and Carter. So all of a sudden it's a 3-2 lead for Pittsburgh. Vegas tries to answer. Jari saves on that. Theodore has a chance tipped wide. Vegas presses. Blueger has a feed to Boyle. That wouldn't go. We get a power play for Vegas. That's killed off. That was their second of the night. Pacioretty, not on the Vegas bench. He hadn't been there since the start of the third. I'm watching the Pittsburgh feed, so they mentioned it partway through the third. But yeah, Twitter told me he hadn't been on the bench the entire third period. And Vegas fans were, of course, reacting. Montreal fans know what we're talking about here with Pacioretty, right? Anyhow, Vegas goes back to the power play. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1. Puck nearly goes in, but doesn't. That's killed off with 5:50 left. The Penguins get a power play, and they score on it. It's Rust from Gensel and Crosby at 14:49. So the Vegas Golden Knights, down by 2, they pull the goaltender early with 2:45 left. That allows Rodriguez to get his 17th of the season from Letang into the empty net at 17:43. We'll see if that gets Rodriguez going again. So your final score is 5-2 in favor of the Penguins. They go to 35-15-9. Vegas drops to 32-24-4 on the season. Your shots, 16-5 Pittsburgh in the first, 22-7 Vegas in the second, and in the third, Vegas outshoots them 15-10. So your final shots are 42-33 for the Golden Knights, Power plays, Vegas 0 for 2, Pittsburgh 1 for 3. The hits, 34-29 for Pittsburgh. Brossoit saves 28 out of 32. Jarry saves 40 out of 42. Great game by Jarry. Solid game all around by Pittsburgh, and they win it. So they pull themselves ahead of the New York Rangers, and we'll see what the Rangers do tomorrow in order to answer that. All right, moving along. The Minnesota Wild, there's a lot of drama in their games right now, and at least this one they kept the goals against down, so that's a start. We would hope. Kakkonen versus Merzlikins in this one. Bjorkstrand has a wraparound, that saved. Wild press at 3.5 minutes. Elvis holds him off at that point. Fiala can't bury one. Kaprizov has a rush chance. That was saved and held. Press by the Wild at 9.5 minutes. But Columbus gets themselves a power play. During said power play, Bjorkstrand fires one wide. And then Chinakhov scores. He scores from Bean and Domi at 13:31. So it's nice to see Chinakhov getting goals after he was snake bit so much early in the season. Columbus then goes back to the power play. Kulikov defends a Roslovic chance. They do kill that off. 2:04 left. We get the third power play of the period for the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's a 4-minute power play, too. So Dewar has a shorthanded chance that's sent into the corner, but Dewar's strong shorthanded play draws a penalty for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we get 125. With 125 left, we get 4-on-4. And then with 41.5 seconds left, it becomes a 4-on-3 for Minnesota. So, during that power play, Kaprizov scores his 30th of the year from Zuccarello and Fiala at 19:34. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period, everything's all killed off. That's almost the end of the power plays in the game. Wild would get a power play shortly after. That was killed off. The Wild press after that. And I think that's the end of the power plays. It's close anyways. Werenski fires high on a rush. The first Wild shots on net are at 8.5 minutes. Elvis saves there. The Wild had some momentum halfway through the period. Fiala's denied as the Wild press. Brodin was robbed from in close. Zuccarello was not. He scores from Spurgeon at 13:33. With 3:09 left, the Wild get a power play, which I think was their last power play. Columbus kills it off, and then in the last shift of the period, we get a press by the Wild. But it is a 2-1 lead for Minnesota after 2. Third period, Columbus has the jump early. That being said, the Wild did have some pressure at 4.5 minutes. The linesman then tripped Fiala. Nice trip, too. Columbus gets a rush out of that. Spurgeon has a chance that's held on to, and the Wild had some momentum. The Wild press. They draw themselves a power play. Shorthanded Jenner chance was saved. Corrali can't bury one. Some pushing and shoving starts up. The power play ends. The Wild go back to the power play. Is this wrong? Anyways, it just... Because I'm looking at the numbers and going, okay, there's so many power plays here. That had to be it. No, not really. So, this is why you rate the notes. Gaudreau has a chance that saved. Columbus kills it off with 4:46 left. We had 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Goalie pull with 1.5 minutes left. Columbus presses. Foligno flattens Voracek. He exited. Looked like it was his ankle. And Foligno kind of sticks his skate out there. He did. He kind of did. So, he kind of got away with one there. That absolutely could have been called a tripping penalty. However... Columbus does score 6-on-5. It's Werenski from Bjorkstrand and Nyquist at 19:28. Really good pressure by Columbus leads to the tying goal. So we go to overtime. The Wild control early. Line A rags the puck, which is just, dragging the puck around. You got it on a string. Nobody can get away from you. His net drive, though, won't go. The Wild control it. Gaudreau fires high. Spurgeon has a shot that's saved and held. The Wild control. Columbus defends. Chinakhov with a net drive. Hartman defends that. Fiala's then denied. Columbus gets a rush chance after that, but we end up going to a shootout. And in the shootout, it's Chinakhov that gets the winner. Columbus wins this one 3-2. With the shootout win, they go to 29-27-3, keeping their very faint playoff hopes alive. Minnesota 34-19-4, and this is not a result they wanted. They do get a point, but they really wanted to, and losing that second point with 30 seconds left has to be a frustration for them. So, your shots in this one, 14-10 Columbus in the first, 12-3 Minnesota in the second, 11-10 Minnesota in the third, and in the overtime, 5-1 Minnesota. Final shots, 38-28 for the Wild. Power plays, Minnesota 1 for 5, Columbus 1 for 4. Your hits, 20-16 for Columbus. Kakkonen saves 26 out of 28. Merzlikins saves 36 out of 38. And, pretty solid all-around game, but Minnesota will wish they had 2 points, and Columbus is glad they got 2. Again, the odds of Columbus making the playoffs are so slim but they're not zero. So the fact that they are keeping up their efforts, it's kind of nice to see. Next up, Winnipeg. So Winnipeg coming off of a win against New Jersey, but Winnipeg has to, and I keep saying this, they have to go on a run. They have to win like 7 in a row. They need to go out there and just go on this incredible run, and they just have not shown this year that they're capable of doing that. It's Hellebuyck versus Varlamov. Hellebuck's having trouble keeping the puck out of the net. You can point at the defense if you'd like to, and I totally get that. If you want to say Hellebuck's not at the top of his game, I will agree with that, because Hellebuyck at the top of his game is one of the best goalies in the league. Jets press at 1.5 minutes. Then the Isles press back. Green couldn't bury while that was going on. But the Isles end up getting themselves a power play, and they score on it. It's Nelson on what was a great pass by Beauvillier at 6:38. Makes it 1-0. Mayfield nearly adds another right after. So the shots are 5-3 Islanders at the half. I thought those shot totals kind of flattered the Jets a bit. So the Jets press, but they're kept to the outside. Chara has a net drive that's saved and held on to. There were no shots on net for the Jets for over 10 minutes. However, on their first shot in 11 minutes, Connor scores. He stays hot from Ehlers and Pionk at 16:58. So Kyle Connor is one that you don't have to worry about if you're a Jets fan. In the last minute, we get a press by the Jets. It's 1-1 after 1. Second period, Bailey scores from Pajot and Palmieri at 1:09. So immediately, the Islanders go up, and then 40 seconds later, they score another. It's Lee from Nelson and Beauvillier. So all of a sudden, it's 3-1. And a Barry Trotz coach team, when they got a 2-goal lead, it's hard to come back against that. The shots are 6-1 for the Islanders at only 2.5 minutes into that period. So if this is where, if you want to point at the defense for the Jets, you can. If you want to point at the goaltending, you probably can too. Again, there will be plenty of time in the offseason to discuss what the Jets need to do and see what they actually do. Pressed by the Islanders at 4 minutes. Bailey has a chance that's saved. His rebound's cleared. The Jets are not getting shots again. They went minutes without shots in this period as well. I want to say 7 or 8 minutes between shots. DeMello has a chance blocked as the Jets do finally press. Connor can't bury one on a rebound. There's a post for Ehlers. The Jets not getting breaks in this game. Just if a break can go against them, it does. Dobson with a rush. That's saved and held. Ehlers misses one high. The Jets not showing the finish they need if they're going to catch up in this one. There's a power play for the Islanders. It's killed off, and it got 0 shots. So at least the penalty kill was decent for Winnipeg, although they didn't have a power play tonight. So we go to the third period. 20 seconds in, Wheeler makes it a 1-goal game. He scores from DeMello and Scheifele. So Scheifele on the board, Wheeler with a goal, and there's some hope. The Jets have momentum after that, but what kills that momentum is a power play for the Islanders. That's killed off, but they did get 3 shots, and it was a good power play. And then at 7:14, Bailey scores on a rebound from Pelech and Pajot. So that restores the 2-goal lead for the Islanders. The shots are 9-8 for the Jets 9 minutes in. So there's a lot of shots at that point. There were a lot of shots in that third period overall. The Islanders press. They had some momentum now. Morrissey has a blast that goes wide as the Jets would push back. 6:18 left. We get some pushing and shoving. We have 4-on-4 hockey at that point. There was some comment on why didn't the Jets get a power play out of that. Jets didn't get a power play out of anything today. And, yeah, so Jets fans tonight are probably the ones most upset about officiating. Probably, sure. Why? I mean, I'm sure the comment section will be, no, we're the most upset, and it'll be every fan base. So, early goalie pull by the Jets because they're down by a couple. That allows the empty net goal by Clutterbuck. Cizikas with the assist at 15-16. Then with 1:28 left, Scheifele gets an unsportsmanlike call. So, I don't know what Scheifele said, but we know he didn't swear because he doesn't swear. Your final score is 5-2 for the Islanders. They go to 23-24-8 with the win. The Jets, 26-23-10 with the loss. This was win number 900 for Barry Trotz. Your shots in this one, 11-6 for the Islanders in the first, 11-9 in the second, 16-14 every period, including that third period where there were 30 shots in total, 16 of them by the Islanders. They led the Jets in shooting every period. Final shots, 38-29 for the Islanders. The Jets, no power plays. The Islanders, 1 for 4. This is an unusual position because last season there were plenty of games where the Islanders just didn't have power plays. Hits 28-15 for Winnipeg. Hellebuyck saves 33 out of 37. Varlamov saves 27 out of 29. Varlamov with a win. That's a little unusual, but hey, you know, Varlamov can be a very good goaltender, and we'll see whether or not he stays with the Islanders through the deadline or what happens there. Because you have to think, as far out of the playoffs as they are, they'll at least listen if somebody calls about a goaltender. If it's Sorokin, they might hang up, but they might listen for a couple seconds before they hang up. All right, last game of the night, Washington and Vancouver. And it looked like maybe Vancouver was going to do it, and then Lucy takes the football away. So Vanacek versus Demko. The Caps come into this one 7-2-1 in their last 10 against Vancouver, including the game Vancouver beat them in Washington earlier this season. So early press by the Caps. Garland then has a chance that wouldn't go. Caps have a 2-on-1. McMichael was denied on that. Mott with a fast break. He's denied some good pace, and then a puck just goes in. Kuznetsov gets a goal from Jensen and Oshie at 5:34. The puck's going behind the net, bounces off the Zamboni door there along the boards, right to Kuznetsov. I don't think he even meant to score. I think he was just skating through. Puck goes off him and into the net. Surprise. So that's his first of what would be a pretty good night, even though each goal was weird. So Caps go to the power play, and on a diving play, Kuznetsov gets the puck across the line. What's interesting is the puck was on the line. It was Ovechkin's shot, and initially Kuznetsov grabbed the puck and hands it to Ovi, thinking the puck was across the line before he touched it. It wasn't, so it's Kuznetsov's goal. If he hadn't touched it, it would have gone in. Ovechkin would have passed Yager. It didn't happen. That's Kuznetsov's fault. Carlson with the secondary assist at 6:17, and I just wrote underneath, this could get ugly. We have two goals here that are not pretty within 40 seconds of one another, and the Canucks just didn't seem to have it. So McMichael nearly adds another. Lammikko gets one to the goal line. It wouldn't go over. We have a net feed then by Lammikko later in the period that's held on to. The Canucks get a power play. Doesn't set up. Not a great power play for the Canucks. The Caps then get a power play. That was killed off. A rarity for Vancouver tonight. True. So we go to the second period with the score 2-0 for the Caps. Early press by the Capitals. Ovechkin can't bury one. The Canucks clear it out. Mantha with a rush chance. That was saved. Horvat with a net feed. That wouldn't go. Ovi with a fast break. That was saved. The Caps press after that. Mott has a wrist shot that's gloved and held. The Canucks had a 3-on-2. Garland misses high on that one. Hoaglander's denied as the Canucks press. Mantha with a net drive. That's saved and held. Hamonic exited after a hit, so we had 5 defensemen for the Canucks for the remainder of the second period. He would return in the third. Highmore has a tip that saved. Vanacek was fantastic. Highmore as well exited the game for a little while and would come back in. Canucks press with 5 minutes left. Oshie's robbed with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left. Orlov has a rush that's denied in the final minute. So coming out of the second period, it's still 2-0 for the Caps. Good period of hockey overall. Pretty even period of hockey in the second, but no goals. Third period. As I said, Hamonic's back. Early press by the Canucks, and they score. It's Quinn Hughes from Miller at 57 seconds, so that's an 11-game point streak for JT Miller. Canucks then get a power play, and they score on it. It's Horvat. He gets his 19th goal of the season from Miller and Hughes at 3:19. Janssen Fjallby's then denied, and we're starting to hear the Bruce there it is chance. I also have to say, so the other night, Janssen Fjallby, Steph, who's this young woman I follow on Twitter, posts a picture of Janssen Fjallby with his blonde hair and talks about whatever. And I thought he looked like Fabio. So her answer was that he looked like Thor. Which, fine. I'm a generation older than she is. So to me, I see Fabio. She sees Thor or Chris Hemsworth. And thankfully tonight, John Garrett, who's older than me, but still, he said, hey, Fabio, about Janssen Fjallby. And I'm like, yes, somebody older than I am and said Fabio. So for the young kids out there, Fabio, so it's fine. It's not a big deal. I laughed when I heard it and I had to write it on the board. So Horvat would add his 20th of the season from Hamonic and Hughes at 4:59. All of a sudden, it's a 3-2 lead. All of a sudden, the Canucks are up. That was buried on a rebound. The Canucks then press again. Ovi with a net drive wouldn't go. The Canucks ice it. But then Kuznetsov draws a power play, and it was a head hit by Myers. So with 6:23 left, and the Capitals 1 for 2 on the power play, Caps go back to the power play, and they score on it. It's Kuznetsov at 15:07, a goal that's showing still as unassisted. I think eventually it's going to show Oshie and Ovechkin as the assists. So the penalty kill lets the Canucks down. The game gets tied up. Then we get 2:49 left. The Canucks get a power play, and it's not very good. It doesn't get a shot. So it's a bit of a deflating third period after what was an amazing 3-goal run there. So you go to overtime. The Canucks control first. But what's interesting is they just get manhandled, and the puck's taken away, and Eller scores at 42 seconds from Karlsson and Wilson. They made it look easy. So in overtime, they win it. The Capitals win 4-3. They go to 32-18-10 with the OT win. Vancouver drops to 29-23-7. So instead of pulling within 2 points of Vegas, they pull within 3 points of Vegas. They have one game in hand on the Vegas Golden Knights, but being 3 points back means they're not in control of their destiny at this point. However, the way Vegas is losing games, that 3-point lead for Vegas may not last that long. The problem is there's other teams the Canucks are competing with as well. Edmonton comes to mind, Dallas, Nashville in those wild card spots. It is still going to be a tough road. So the shots in this one favor Washington in every period. 11-8 in the first, 12-9 in the second, 10-9 in the third. They got the only shot of the overtime. Final shots 34-26 for Washington. Power plays, Washington 2 for 3. The app said 1 for 3. Has to be a Canucks fan because I know they were 2 for 3. I watched it. Vancouver was 1 for 3. The hits 26-23 for Vancouver. Vanacek, very good game. The 23 saves on 26 shots doesn't tell you how good he was. So was Demko. 30 saves on 34 shots. Just flukiness and just weird goals. And for Kuznetsov, he gets his second hat trick of his career. So, yeah. And it was just from the side of the net. It was one of those ones, too, where, the Canucks should have gotten that out. They had opportunities, just could not clear. The penalty kill got a lot better under Bruce Boudreau. I'm starting to see some signs with that penalty kill that remind me of the Travis Green era, so they've got to clean that up. That being said, we're done for tonight. Let me know your thoughts regarding these games in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.